All right, here it is. Episode 1, season 1 of a new podcast. For those of you out there, you know I'm Josh. I got my buddy Ryan here.
What's up? What's up, people? Thanks for having me, Josh. Appreciate it. I like that I'm first on the hit list for the first episode.
I'm going to bring it out with a bang, dude. Like, it's like, not many people are that entertaining out there these days.
There you go.
Some fun. So, yeah, the idea here was like, let's just get together. Let's have fun. Let's talk about it. I know you've made it pretty far in your real estate career thus far. Like, some people probably want to hear about that. We want to talk about it, where we're at, and have a good time. But before that, we got to have a couple tequilas, I think, which is always important. I got this new.
Yeah, what is this?
Chincora. I don't know.
Buddy.
It was Christmas time. I was at my wife's in-laws in Kentucky. Yeah. And they're like heavy bourbon drinkers.
Yeah.
And then her aunt bought it from me. She's like, I know you love tequila. The guy said this was the best one. I'm like, I've never seen it before. It was really good. But then funny enough, when I got home, all my friends are now drinking this. And it's like everybody at the club is drinking this tequila.
Well, it's got like a cool bottle, right? Like it's got that 1942 kind of like
tall, long
with the bottle.
Tastes good too.
Tastes good too. What are we running a bottle for this?
I don't know. That's definitely over 100.
For an anejo too, eh? Not even an extra anejo, and it's over 150.
I would assume. I didn't buy that bottle; it was gifted to me, but I'm assuming that's where we're at.
Well, I'm gonna enjoy it. Thank you.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming out.
No, of course.
I was just thinking about it. It's like, tell everybody like who you are, where you're from, what how you got here. Give us the shot. Oh, there we go.
So like the quick and dirty of me and my evolution through life and into real estate. I went to university for business, and I thought I was going to be a sales guy, and got into sales right out of university, and got a sales job selling photocopiers and fax machines. Can't believe I said fax machines, but yes, I sold fax machines. They still existed.
Some people probably listening to this don't even know how a fax machine. Your brokerage information, there's still that line on an APS. What's your fax number?
That no one uses?
I think Rico needs to update that.
Yeah, big time. But I actually sold those things, and then I hated my job, packed it in and moved to Asia. So I was in Asia for like 6 years. I did events and promotions for a big tobacco company in Asia. And then, I was about to hit my 30th birthday, and I decided I've got to get set up in Canada eventually. Came back and got a marketing job, wasn't happy in it, lasted about 3 weeks. And even though I swore I was coming back to get out of nightlife industry, I ended up running a lounge, a sushi lounge. And one of the owners was the founder of condos.ca and property.ca. At the time, his big site was mrloft.ca. And he came into the restaurant from time to time, thought I'd be great in real estate. Even though, my wife had already told me, my now wife, girlfriend at the time, had told me, I should be in real estate. Of course, when it comes from your wife, it falls on deaf ears, and it takes someone else to tell you. And so I got my license, and then started with Mr. Loft just under 10 years ago. The real estate market in Toronto was very different at that time, not nearly as competitive as it is now, but prices also weren't what they are now. I was slinging condos. I think my first condo I sold was like $225,000.
About 5 of them.
I think the first loft I sold, same thing. It was just a studio, but I think I sold it for like $215,000 at 915 King Street West.
It's like the parking spot cost that much today.
Yeah.
The same building. Yeah. Sorry for those of you that depresses.
So anyways, I remember, funny story, I remember we were on a split system there because they gave us the leads at mrloft.ca. And the splits were I took home 45% up until I had hit 150K in sales, or 100K in sales, sorry. And then I got 54% from 100K to 250K. And then everything above 250K, I got like 63% of the commission back then is how it worked. And I remember I really wanted to make 100 grand.
That was the goal.
That was the goal. I really wanted to make 100 grand in my first year. And I remember Carl asked me how much I wanted to make. And I told him 100 grand. He's like, nah. He's like, it's never been done, like on his team.
Impossible to make 100.
He kind of said it was impossible. So, I mean, I put my head down and I said I was going to do it. And I did it. I think I made like 118, which doesn't sound like a lot of money in real estate today. But like, guess how many deals it took me to do to make 118?
Yeah, it's probably like 25 deals.
It's like 20 deals.
20 deals.
Yeah. So like 20 deals.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Now agents like do one deal and make 100 grand.
Yeah.
Right? 2, 3. Agents are making 100 grand so quick. So it's like
the entry mark into real estate.
Yeah.
Of like being like a successful year is like, okay, I made 100 grand, which is
means
crazy.
You did 4 deals.
And this was like your goal of like, I got to do this. And the owner of the company was like, no.
Yeah. And it's
not
just
happening.
Like you were a great agent if you made 100 grand a decade ago. And now, like, as you said, making 100 grand is like kind of like, okay, now you're in the industry. Like, I feel like if you haven't made 100 grand yet, you may not remain an agent. But like,
and agents are making that doing leases, as we both know. Like,
yeah, as we both know, you can hustle leases now. Like, listen, if the average lease they're doing is like $3 grand, they're making $1,500 a pop. Yeah, it's a lot of leases, but there's the business out there. No one wants to help a renter, right?
Yeah, and there's agents who want to just like grind, and they're in that. We've talked about this before off camera, with the lease cycle or the lease loop, like one after another, and you can't get out of it, and you're doing it because it's fast money and it works, and you're helping people and it's consistent, and you're making that kind of money. So you're fasting forward now. So now you're doing all this stuff. You're working with Mr. Loft. Like a lot of people in real estate, I feel like you're in the club industry, right? Like me too. I was promoting at Cube nightclub, with my friends. Like that's where it started. That's the energy. And now you're fast forward 2022. Where's Ryan Wykes today? Like you got your gear on. Where
today,
are we at?
Yeah, today, fast forward, I ran through my time at Mr. Loft and condos.ca and property.ca and ended up, as you know, we worked together. I ran the shop there for a little while. And today in 2022, with my business partner, Ara Memoriam, we run a small team, just a boutique team called the Spring Team. We are 6 agents plus Ara and myself. And we have 3 full-time admin, not admin, 2 ops manager, a full-time VA, and a marketing manager. So 3 full-time staff. We did something like 125 or 130 transactions in 2021. And that was like our first full year as a team. So we're, continuing to grow all the time, looking to, do more deals. Yes. But really the goal with the Spring Team and why we wanted to start the Spring Team is Ara and I like truly believed, like as realtors, our goal and our job is to help the consumer make the right decision for them at the right time for them.
Right.
Right. And so we really wanted to be able to empower other agents to be able to just do that, give them the skill set that like they're actually helping people. They're consulting and making the right decision. And that's like, why we decided to go out and start the Spring Team. We wanted to like create mini us's that were truly
on your same pace.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because and for those of you who don't know, like Ryan said, like Ryan was running, I'm one of the partners at condos.ca, property.ca, running 2 offices. And then Ryan was running, he was the VP of sales for a while. He was one of the top producing agents and then became VP of sales for a while. And then as the company shifted, obviously him and Ara, who is also a partner, branch partner at condos.ca, who I'm also good friends with, you went to this team now. And it's cool to see that like, I know you guys are specific about who you bring on, number one, because obviously you want to make sure that like who you're spending your time with as a team leader understands like what your vision is, because like you could bring on anybody.
Yeah.
At any brokerage, you can bring on anyone you want, but like it takes time to be a manager of a team or a manager of a brokerage to work with people, but you want to make sure those people who you're working with get it get your vision, and they're going to work and have that same dream that you have. And it's like you mentioned, like having clients make the right decision at the right time.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is like, well, I believe in that too. And it's like this fine line because you kind of become friends with your clients, but at the same time, you got to guide them as a professional. But at the same time, you don't want to get too far into their personal business. But you're like, hey, listen, like, I know you own 2 other condos and I get that you want to make money right now, but maybe you hang on to this one or you make this move. And I know Ara's very good at like telling people, like, just put 50 grand into this house and it'll work this way. Like, and it's cool to see, you know? And
Yeah, that's a big thing for us. Like, we're not about buying and selling real estate. We're about helping our clients build wealth through real estate. So like a lot of times I cost myself business because, and our team does in general, because we try to show people how they actually don't have to sell the real estate they own to level up or make that next purchase. Because if you look at some of like the wealthiest families in the world and the wealthiest families in history, what was that wealth built off of?
real estate.
Right.
And they're not selling it.
And they don't sell.
Yeah.
Right. So whenever there's the opportunity for someone to make that level up that they want to make or make that next move, if we can figure out a way for them to do that without selling what they already have, then we've really done our job.
Right.
Which most agents won't say that because I just cost myself, instead of having 2 commissions, now I'm only getting 1 commission.
Right.
But really, we're looking out for like, how can we be part of our clients' long-term plan to build wealth for them and their family?
For sure.
Real estate's one piece of that.
Right.
And we just want to advise in the best way possible for that piece and you know, help them make the right decision.
You know, it's pretty crazy. Like, and I totally get that. Like, it's like you want to guide a wealth building journey, and a good agent will say, hey, I know I could push you to buy another pre-construction condo right now, right? Or averages, I can push you to buy another condo. But a good agent will say, listen, I don't think what's your goal here? It's to make money. Let me give you a couple other options. It was funny. One of my very good clients, you probably even met him before, but he was sitting in my office yesterday and we were talking and he's like, hey, I want to do this next thing. And he's just come off of like buying all this, whatever he's done, you know, all these different things. And I said, well, and I like said, listen, I want to sell you a piece of real estate more than anybody, you know, no more than the next person does. But I'm actually thinking about what you're telling me right now, and I think this product might be a good option for you. And it was actually an investment into like a purchasing agreement of like a lot through a developer, like where you can invest with the developer, and you're not actually buying the real estate, you're just investing in the acquisition of the piece of land with like an X amount of return. And he looked at me and he goes, so you don't want to sell me real estate right now? I go, I do. Don't get me wrong. But I also want you to be set up for success. And in this moment right now, based on what you're telling me, I think this is the best product for you to go down. And he looked at me and he's like, wow, interesting. Okay. And we kind of vibed on that. And it's like that same concept. You want to, as a realtor, as a good realtor, it's like, we're not just looking for that next commission, whereas everyone thinks that, you know, it's like, oh, we're just chasing the commission, chasing the commission. I'm like, I just want my clients to be set up for success here, you know, and be happy and build wealth.
Well, I think, you know, that is the problem and why we have such a bad reputation. You know, we're in the top 10 most hated professions. We're like with lawyers and dentists. And it's because so many agents are short-sighted and don't think about their business long term.
The long game.
Yeah, they don't think about the long game. And I get it. We're 100% commission. You know, a lot of people are like trying to figure out how they're going to pay their rent or their car payment or whatever it is. And they don't think long term, and they don't think about the fact that, you know, the average person buys 5 to 7 homes in a lifetime.
Right.
And that's going up and up and up all the time.
Right. People are moving more and more. People are shifting. They're buying recreational properties. They're buying more investment properties. There's more people purchasing. And to be the right agent, it's like, hey, I don't want to just sell you one property right now and you forget my name. My goal is to make you my client for life. And we've talked about this so many times. Like, how many times have you seen one of your clients get engaged while they're on vacation in Mexico and ordered a bottle of champagne to the room?
Yeah.
Right? And you're the one who told me that. Like, you pushed that on me a long time ago.
So like, you know, doing things to like continue that relationship is huge, but that starts with not pushing people into decisions that really benefit you as the agent. And so my biggest advice always to agents is like, don't be that pusher,
Mm-hmm.
be the facilitator that helps them make the right decision. Because the commission that doesn't come today will come to you tenfold by being just a little bit patient. And honestly, nothing stinks worse than a desperate realtor. So you don't want to be that desperate. People can smell you from a mile away.
And it's like in every aspect of it. And we're talking about like specific like buying and selling our clients' real estates, but it's like that same desperate realtor who walks in. I love this conversation, And as a realtor, people always say like we're like the only profession that people always want to dip into a pocket of a real estate agent.
Of course.
No one and as much as dentists might not be liked and lawyers, no one ever asked their dentist how much money they're making at the end of the day.
Or ask them for
Or
a
kickback,
discount.
or a lawyer. You don't ask your lawyer, like some people will negotiate with their lawyer, but they're not saying kickback. Realtors are the only profession that I've ever come across in my life so far that people are dipping into our pocket trying to take our money. And you know what? I get it. It's they see this big number, whatever. We're not gonna, that's a whole nother, we can have a whole nother episode about that. Of course we could, but I think my point is that you smell that desperate agent, and so many agents out there will walk into the door and say, "Hey, yeah, I'll sell your place for 1%." And like, if somebody comes to me and said for a listing appointment, and they're like, "Yeah, this guy's offering 1%, will you do the same?" And I've so many times walked away from the business, be like, "Listen, if you're gonna take the guy for 1%, that's the results you're gonna get." So what is so?
I mean, I agree with you. I think that's just about, as agents, bringing a value proposition that shows your value beyond that 1.5% that the other agents willing to give away, right? Like, what's 1.5% of $1 million? 15 grand, right? With the spring team especially, we are built out the systems and processes to be able to show our clients the value that we're bringing to the table, that like I can guarantee them I'm going to get them 15 grand more than that guy that's willing to do it 1%. Right. So
there's your money right there. And I always said to people, it's like, don't worry. Like, your goal is here to make the most amount of money in your place, whether I charge you 1.5 or 2.5%. I can ensure you that the system that I have and the tools and the marketing strategies that I'm using, unless I'm up against Ryan, are gonna ensure that you're gonna get the most amount of money for your place. So yeah. Anyways, I was thinking, so I'm like talking like, all this like real estate talk. So my big question for you, and one of them was like, of this journey now, so we got to know Ryan a bit. We know you're running this team. You've run big sales team. Like, I think at the time when you were the VP of sales at condos.ca, we had like anywhere between 250 to 300 agents almost at that point.
We're the big condos.ca is actually the biggest team in North America, the biggest real estate team in North America.
And you were like driving that ship forward, and you made some massive moves with the team there. But and you've grown, right? You've been this agent who was like, I'm gonna make 100 grand. You've gone to the point where you've like led this big, powerful team, which is a huge number of agents that you're managing. And now you've refined that back to say, hey, maybe this is more where I'm at, and or whatever that statement is. You have a more niche team that's working with where you're at now. My question is was there a moment that you can pinpoint in that whole journey that was like a defining moment of Ryan Wykes becoming like this realtor that he is today, like from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'll be honest, I love selling real estate, right? And so when I was managing a team of 250 agents, it made it difficult to sell real estate. Right. But at the same time, I love mentoring, coaching, and teaching agents. And, so when I was running a team of 250 agents, there wasn't a lot of time for selling. I was doing a lot of mentoring and coaching, but when it's 250 agents, you know how it is.
There's no time.
10% show up to training, 20% show up to training. The very few listen to you and appreciate what you're trying to do for them. And so I really thought, okay, like, how can I do the things I still love, which was both selling real estate and, and it's not that I love selling real estate. I love helping people, right? So how can I help my clients more?
Keep helping your clients.
Yes.
Offer them more services. Just provide a better experience for those clients that you work with.
And then still mentor, coach, and train younger agents and the right people, right? But what I really wanted is how can I change those agents that work with me or help them develop? I shouldn't say change, help them develop the skill set to add the same value that I add to my clients' lives so more people can get the same experience that my clients get.
You're changing the real estate industry one agent at a time. We're becoming the
that
most
was-
loved profession one agent after another.
I mean, that was kind of like the goal with the whole thing. And I also asked myself, like, when was I happiest in real estate?
Mhm.
And like, I'll be honest, like I was happiest in real estate when like condos.ca and I don't even think property.ca even existed yet. When condos.ca and mrloft.ca were like 15 to 20 agents.
This is before my time.
Yeah. It was
Even
like
before Jeff's time.
Yeah. It was like a family. We all knew each other really well. We, would eat meals together at each other's houses.
It was a team. It was a tight team.
It was a tight-knit family. And like, I kind of wanted to get that back because I got so lost and off track of that when, condos.ca got so big.
Yeah.
And became very corporate. And
a lot of people, a lot of pieces, a lot of agents.
Yeah, and people to answer to. Yeah, it shifted. And so I just asked myself kind of that question when I knew I was going to make a move. And like, I thought, okay, these are the two things I want to do. And that's when I was happiest. Like, how can I recreate that? And funny enough, a lot of people are like, why didn't you go on your own? Why didn't you start your own team?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a true believer that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And I think one of the pieces in me that has made me successful in real estate is I actually see the strengths and weaknesses in other people like instantaneously, right? Like I know like this person is great at this person is not great at that very quickly.
You grab it right away.
And I'm great at getting them to share their strengths with me, right? But I knew going into this, like, okay, yeah, could I lead my own team? Sure. I mean, I led a team of 250 people. Why couldn't I lead a team of 6? But I knew there were strengths that I have, but my weaknesses were my strengths could take me so far. My weaknesses were what was going to stop me.
And that would be your Achilles heel the whole way.
And I actually learned
Can't do everything.
And what actually like I really learned was from you and Jeff that 2 is definitely way better than 1.
We have different skill sets.
Yes.
We complement each other in different ways.
Yeah.
He's not here hosting a podcast today.
No. So like, that's actually where I learned that. And that's,
cool. That's awesome.
If you notice, okay, I'm going to ask you this question. So the expansion that I was responsible for, so to Mississauga and to Vancouver.
Right, which was a big deal.
At condosandproperty.ca. How many leaders are there of both of those teams?
Both of them had 2.
Right.
Both the expansions had 2.
And that was actually based off you guys.
And the expansions that happened at the same time that ours did were both individuals, and neither of those 2 offices are existing now anymore.
You got it.
And the 2 that had doubles are there.
You got it.
Makes sense.
There's actually 3. One of them that was singles.
Has like 1.
One. There's 2 teams in Vancouver now, and so the one single team's still there. But like, yeah. So like, I really learned from you and Jeff that like being able to work off those different skill sets and those strengths and weaknesses together are really A, what's going to set you up for success, and B, I also knew for like what I wanted to grow and how much value I wanted to add to my agents.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a certain amount of agents you can deal with at a time to be able to do that.
And at least the ones that like at the level that you're operating. When condos, it's like, hey, there's a filtration of leads. Here, you have to serve it. You have to help your team. You have to keep making sure that they're eating, that they're closing deals, that you're generating leads for them. There's so many pieces. And I think what's crazy about everything that you're saying, and it's like, it's so accurate. And I'm realizing this now as a new dad, like I'm 8 months into this now. So now I'm managing a team which is bigger than what you guys are doing. Jeff and I are running, I think we're like 70 agents right now between 2 different offices. Plus I'm a dad. Plus I'm still operating high level as a real estate agent, trying to be one of the, the top agents still. And there's only so many hours in a day to give into your work. And then your work as a leader of a team gets split 2 different ways. So how many hours a day are you going to put into that? And then you go back to what makes you happy. So now you're in this job. You either have to add value to your clients' lives and continue to help them through their journeys, but now also add value to your agents' lives, manage them, keep them accountable, you help them grow, all these different pieces. And then you get back into everything else that comes down the line, especially with running a team and expenses. And it just adds on. It's like, what makes you happy? And it's cool to see that like you looked back after X amount of years and were able to pinpoint it, right? And I'm sure there's so many people out there right now who are like fighting to get forward in real estate. Like they're just scratching at it and they're probably losing sight of what, and it happens. It happens as you grow, as you get bigger, as you make more money, you lose sight of maybe why you did this originally, what makes you happy. And what I'm learning through all of this, and especially having a new child in this world, is the most important thing out of everything is to have fun and to be happy. Like you can make $1 million a year, but if you're miserable and you're going home miserable every day, what's the point of it? I'd rather make 200-300 grand a year, or even 150, or even 100 grand a year, but be happy.
Like, I agree with you 100%. And the thing with real estate is we have no cap on our income, right? Like we can make an infinite amount of money. The problem is people get blinded by that and they just grind. And then they burn out. And like, I can't tell you, like I've been in the business a decade now. And the number of names that used to be big names in the Toronto real estate game that I don't even know where they are today is crazy. And I don't want to like name names, but like anyone that's been in this business the last decade will be able to tell you at least 2 or 3 people who used to be like 30, 40, 50 deal a year producers that now you don't see them anywhere.
They don't even do it. And you know what's crazy is that,
and they burnt out.
But before, up until like maybe 2-3 years ago, the only way you would know that is if you're driving, if you're doing deals, if you're seeing signs, if you're seeing advertising. That's how you would know those agents, where they're going. But now with social media, I've actually noticed on a micro level, agents who are like going hard as hell. You see them succeeding and then just like drop off for 3-4 months. And I'm talking big agents. Like there's 1 or 2 I could point out right now that I know I've seen them for the past 3 years, big on social media. And then I'm talking about like a 4 or 5 month gap drop. And that's not because you stopped paying your marketing manager or you're not selling. Like you're toast. It's exhausting, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're getting into a lot of good stuff here. My biggest question, Tales from the Lockbox. I have to do it. I didn't want this podcast to be just like, okay, let's just spit value on people. Like, here's what you need to do as an agent, or here's my tip in social media. It's like, dude, what real estate? It's hard, it's tough. We grind, we work hard, but crazy shit happens. And there's so many stories. I'm sure there's not a lot that you're gonna want to share on camera right now, but give us your tale from the lockbox. That like, what's Ryan Wykes' tale he wants to drop down today on anyone listening? Buyers, agents, everyone.
I mean, my like, do you want like stories?
You need another tequila before it first? Okay.
Sure.
Let's get everyone another before we get into this.
So, like, do you want like some funny stories of like shit I've seen?
Listen.
Or do you want some sage advice? So why don't I give you both? Why don't I give you a couple of funny stories of like, because when I think of Tales from the Lockbox, I think of like, okay, I go into this lockbox, I get a key. What's the dumbest or craziest shit I've seen happen?
That's happened. That's probably one.
Okay.
You tell me what you know what you've seen and what you've experienced.
Yeah, so I mean,
drop it.
All right, so
and cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for having me again.
Of course, thanks for coming.
Craziest story from, being out there and being on the grind. So I've got 2 that are opposite ends of the spectrum. So the first one, for like, I've never felt worse, right? I've wanted to like curl up in a ball and die in front of my clients. So I'm out. We're on a show. We're out on showings. We show up. to a loft, knock on the door, no answer. We're probably late. You know, as agents, we're shitty with timing.
Happens.
We were late. So knock on the door, no answer. Okay, we're good. Good. Put my key in. I'm showing this whole place. Show this. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Walking them through. You told me you love this exposed brick. Look at this. You know,
You're selling it.
selling it. Get to the master bedroom. Show them the master bedroom.
Boy.
It's all good. And I just feel terrible. This is like not. Anyways, I open the master bathroom door.
Oh boy.
And I get a scream. And I'm like, and I look in, and unfortunately, there was like a little old lady taking a dump on the toilet. And like, I was like, I just couldn't run out of there fast enough. I've never felt so bad in my life. That's like my like most like cringe. Now, funniest, I guess, would probably be also showing a loft. It's a Sunday.
Okay.
Probably around noon.
You're probably hungover.
I was definitely hungover because this was earlier in my career. So I was definitely hungover for anyone that knew me pre-kids. I was always hungover.
Yeah, maybe post-kids once in a while.
Yes. And penthouse unit. And I know it's tenanted. Like, it's not owner occupied. I know it's tenanted. Anyways, put the key in the door, open the door, take 2 steps in, start to hear a dog bark, look around. I'm like, oh shit.
Little dog or big dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
it was a big bark, and I was like, oh shit, look around. 2 naked chicks on the sofa, naked dude passed out on the floor, drug paraphernalia everywhere. So I'm kind of interested.
This is probably like tenants didn't show up. You're like, what happened here?
I'm kind of interested.
What was this scene about? What's going on?
The dog's barking.
Clients are standing there.
The clients are in the hall. They're not fully in because they hear the dog barking.
So you're like in halfway through the door.
And I can hear the dog, but I see the nakedness, so I'm kind of interested. And so I poke my head in even further. See the same shit, nothing else. But then I look, and there's a fucking huge pit bull coming right at me. Yeah, and I get the door shut just in time.
Oh, God.
And my clients are like, kind of like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, we can't go in there.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. It might be your dream place, but you can't go
You're not finding it today.
If this isn't it, I'm sorry. We'll have to come back at a later time.
So those are probably like my 2 on opposites. Like, I'm feeling real bad, and then craziest story from my career from showings. You know, if you're looking for like sage advice, my sage advice for agents that are new to the business, or, that are feeling burnt out. First off, like, every agent who really wants to make it in the game needs to have a coach or mentor.
Absolutely.
Okay. So whether it's like you're paying a coach, whether it's you're joining a team, or whether like you find someone that you aspire to be that's willing to mentor you for free, great. You need someone to help guide you in the business.
Keep you safe too.
Yeah.
It's like so many mistakes to make.
Many mistakes to make. So many mistakes
Another episode, another time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like my number 1 piece of advice, especially for new agents. Yeah, like I would say, especially fresh new agents, join a team every single time. Not my team necessarily. I'm very picky, but I'm just saying join some
you can
sort
audition
of,
for the you can audition for the spring team if you want.
I'm just saying join some sort of team or get some sort of coach or some sort of mentor.
You need it.
For those of you agents that are already like out there grinding, especially like in a tough market like this, if you're not feeling beaten down in this business, you're not doing enough to get ahead. This business will beat you down. Mm-hmm. And there's no successful person in this business that hasn't felt beaten down early in their career. And if there are, or is
their
any agents that say it,
in real estate.
yeah, they were handed a book of business, or they're lying is what I was going to say.
Right.
So like, my advice to those people is like, it gets better, right? Like the first 5 years should be, if you want to be super successful in real estate, the first 5 years should be a fucking grind.
If you want to make more than $100,000 a year, it's not going to be easy. Period. The end. Like, you know, like you don't just become a chiropractor overnight and start making tons of money. Like you got to put the work in. Yeah, you went to school, you did these exams. It's hard, and to
Yeah.
get far, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, and real estate is tough. Everyone's looking to claw at you from every direction, and you gotta have a strong backbone and a good ball of tequila.
Yeah. And then so, my last two pieces of advice is like for those young agents that are making the money, enjoy it, but be smart with it. Okay. So go out, party, pop bottles, do
Go to
all those
Tulum.
things, go to Tulum, do whatever you do, buy the expensive suits. I did it all.
Yeah.
Buy the flashy cars, but pay your fucking taxes and save for your taxes. The amount of agents, I've been managing agents for years now, and the amount of agents that I've seen that have buried themselves in their first big year
And they come out with like a $35,000-$40,000 tax bill at the
and
end of
have
the
no
year,
money.
and you have no commissions in the pipeline.
Yeah.
It's like,
So that's my biggest is like save and put the money aside.
and invest in real estate.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like invest in
gotta.
what you know, right? Like how you want to be able to educate clients on how to build wealth in real estate. You should be your own guinea pig.
You're,
And you should lead the
renting
way.
a one-bedroom condo at 14 York Street, but you're guiding people as to how they should be buying pre-construction on a daily basis.
Buy
And
the
you don't know nothing.
pre-construction.
You got to buy.
Right?
You
Like
gotta test the waters. You gotta
especially with
dip in.
something like pre-construction, it's the easiest way for you to get into investing because listen, you get to pay it over like a year, 2 years, whatever it is. You're paying 5% at a time. Yeah, they're big checks, like 5%, but 5% of $1 million is 50 grand. You have to give 450 grand or 350 grand checks over 2 years.
It's doable if you're making that kind of money.
Yeah, and be smarter with your money. Just don't buy that bottle of 1942 at the club
Yeah.
and a
Every
couple
single
times.
time.
Yeah, every single time.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so those are like my biggest piece of advice because like I've seen too many agents not be prepared and they make the money but they spend it just as fast and then they get caught behind the 8 ball. And like it's funny. I don't know why it is, but like after managing hundreds and hundreds of agents, you would think that like being in debt or being behind the financial 8 ball would motivate people. It fucking doesn't. It distracts them and they actually get lazy. And
Well, it adds stress. It adds all
because
these
of all the
problems,
stress and everyone
and more
deals
things to manage, and it's like,
and everyone deals with stress in different ways, right?
course.
So like for me, I deal with stress financially by like figuring out ways to make more money, but I've realized not everyone's wired the same way as maybe you or me.
right? You know, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm like, my bills are coming. I'm like, I gotta go make more money. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, don't worry, I'll work harder. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, but it's crazy like the amount of agents that I've seen put themselves behind that financial 8 ball that
Jeez.
like then it hinders their ability to perform.
They're depressed. They're stressed out. They can't think, and it's like,
So that's
and then
my
they're also
advice.
selling their soul to the devil. Then, because then they're the ones who are walking in and doing whatever they need to do to get that deal
Yeah,
done.
they become the stinky, desperate realtor.
They're the one who's telling you to waive a status condition on a bad building, that whatever that situation is. And anyways,
Yeah, so that's my biggest piece of advice. Join
Amazing,
a
dude.
team, save for taxes, invest in real estate yourself, and you'll be successful.
amazing. Well, we're gonna have you come back out. We're at the end of time here, and
Cool.
next time we're gonna talk about what it takes to make a team. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
That's what I
Like-
wanted to get into a bit, but we had some good convos here.
Yeah.
Ryan, bro, I love you. I appreciate
Cheers.
you coming here, man. It's so good.
Do it again.
Keep crushing it with the spring team,
Thank you.
and we'll keep doing good stuff and having fun.
Awesome. You as well.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Dude. Great. Fun, right?
Yeah, it's great. Just
story.
sit here and fucking shoot the shit.